So I believe both players are good to go. It looks like, yeah, it looks like 6 cards there from Jared. I believe Gregg probably kept his, yeah, it looks like Gregg kept. Spano has multiple 2-mana lands. He's going to lead with Ancient Tomb and Chalice on 1. That is the key card for him that he needs in this matchup. Jared does have a Manic Vandal along with multiple Imperial Recruiters to find the Manic Vandal, so he is going to be able to deal with it potentially later on. But looks like Gregg has a second Chalice of Void in his hand as well.
Yeah, Gregg might just be able to establish multiple locks here.
Yeah, so Jared plays a second Bloodstained Mire. He immediately sacks both of them, goes down to 18. He's going to find 2 mountains, potentially a plateau, but nope, 2 mountains. And we'll see what he musters up here. Again, one of his ways to kind of remove permanence is Painter Servant plus Red Elemental Blast. Unfortunately, that doesn't work with the Chalice on 1, so really his only out to that is Manic Vandal. So a little update on one of our other matches, Derek Sheets versus Christopher Arnold. That matchup is going to Game 5 now, so Deathblade versus Loam. I believe Derek will probably be on the play in Game 5 as he was up 2 games to 1. So Derek Sheets, Christopher Arnold, that matchup going to Game 5.
What's intriguing about this, as much as we were talking, you know, Gregg just goes ahead and sets Chalice to 1 and Chalice to 2, especially in the face of this Painter Servant. If Gregg can hold out one more turn and get Chalice to 3, there's a very good chance that that's just going to lock the game up.
Yep.
Manic Vandal no longer is in play. Neither is Jaya Ballard. So it's not clear to me how Jared fights out of that.
Yeah, so we're going to see, we're just going to see another second Chalice for 1. And I actually like this because he only has 1 Manic Vandal in his deck. So you can only Manic Vandal one of the Chalices. And if once the Chalice for 1 is in play now for the rest of the game, you have no way to actually cast your Grindstone, cast your Goblin Welder. So it's going to be tough for Jared to pull out of this. But Jared's going to play Magus of the Moon. He's got a Painter Servant naming Blue. That comes over for 1. Gregg is already at 15 now, but he no longer has those double lands, so his mana is going to be under a lot of pressure here, and it doesn't look like he has much else to go with. He's got a giant Blightsteel Colossus in his hand, along with the Gothic Forge Master, but he also has a Worm Coil Engine, so as long as he's able to survive, I think he might be able to get there. Jared doesn't have that much pressure. He's attacking for 3 a turn, and it looks like he just has some lands, Blood Moon and Snaring Bridge, and that Grindstone, which of course he can't cast.
Yeah, Blood Moon, of course, removes a lot of Gregg's explosiveness here, but he can play something of a conventional game, and of course, all he needs to do is really get to something like Worm Coil Engine, as you mentioned. Even Godolphin Forge Master may give him enough power to just win very quickly.
Yeah, so Gregg's still in pretty good shape. He's got 4 lands in play. I think he might have a 5th in his hand. That'll allow him to cast Forge Master. And now he has a second Worm Coil. So again, if he's able to just resolve a Worm Coil, he should be in good shape no matter what his life total is. So Jared just plays a Great Furnace, passes back. Does he have a 5th land? No, he doesn't. But he does have a Trading Post, which is a card that he boarded in, and we actually discussed this prior to the match. He said that he wanted to board in the Trading Post in case we ever got to a position where Jared actually got his combo and milled him out. He could actually discard Blightsteel Colossus and constantly get that and keep drawing that. So that was one of his plans. So Gregg now at 6 life, and Jared plays a Simian Spirit Guide. Oh, but great draw from Gregg. He draws a Glimmer Post, which is going to get him some life and give him 5 mana so he can play his Godolphin Forge Master. I'm sorry, there's a Blood Moon in play, so he doesn't gain any life, I believe. Yeah. But he is going to get the 5 mana so he can play the Forge Master. So this is going to be huge for him here.
Yep.
And now with the Forge Master, he could actually start gaining life next turn with the Trading Post if he wants to. He's got a lot of options available to him.
Yeah, this is Legacy at its best, where you see Grey Ogres battling it out against Ironwood Treefolk.
oh, wow. Jared drew a Firebolt, and Gregg is at 6.
Well, those 2 Chalices in play. I mean,
that's right.
Jared's hand is really locked up right now. I mean, he's got an Ensnaring Bridge he doesn't want to cast because he's on the beatdown with his Anemic Forces, and the 3 1-mana spells in his hand, of course, are uncastable. And it's not clear he can attack into this Forge Master because it's not a lethal attack.
Yeah, so Gregg might be able to stabilize here at 6 life, despite the fact that he was facing down an army of Grey Ogres. So, yep, Jared's just going to play an Ensnaring Bridge. And there are many ways that Gregg can win through an Ensnaring Bridge. Obviously, he's got Karn in his deck. He's also got Spine of Vishash, which he actually drew. He doesn't have 6 mana, so he's not going to be able to actually cast the Worm Coil this turn. Although, again, he can play a Phyrexian Vroker, which will give him another artifact that he can sack to go off the Forge Master. So he has plenty of options here.
You can also, I mean, once the game slows down, he can start extracting value out of trading posts too.
Yeah.
That's another, road he can go down here.
I expect him to just play the Revoker here and then start grinding out trading posts.
Yeah.
Trading Post, for those of you who aren't familiar with Legacy, it's not a card you see often in Legacy or even in Standard. It's a 4-mana artifact. For 1 mana, you can discard a card to gain 4 life, which is obviously valuable in this situation. You can also pay a life to put an 0/1 white goat token in play, or sacrifice a creature to return an artifact from your graveyard, or sacrifice an artifact for draw a card. So Gregg plays a Revoker. He names Jaya Ballard, which is one of the few outs Jared has.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now he won't even be able to activate it.
Yeah, Gregg actually has to be worried about getting incinerated out of this game because of how weird it's shaped up thus far.
So Gregg discards Blightsteel Colossus, a card he doesn't want, but he wants it shuffled back into his library. So now he can search it out. Unfortunately, there isn't a Ensnaring Bridge in play, so it won't really matter. He needs to search out a Spine of Vishash first.
Yeah, but that's piece number 1 of this whole puzzle here.
Yeah.
Is Gregg obviously can't cast that Colossus anytime in the near future.
And so it looks like he is going to actually sacrifice 3 cards here to get a Blightsteel Colossus. Maybe he's forgetting about the Ensnaring Bridge.
Well, I don't know. He might be able to just rebuild with sufficient artifacts from this point. I mean, he does. I would assume that he wants to keep the Chalice for 1 in play. But once he gets sufficient artifacts in play, he can simply go get a Spine and start bashing.
Yeah, and the other thing he can do is he could actually get the Chalice back from his graveyard. Oh, no, he doesn't have the trading post anymore. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see why he decided to get that Blightsteel Colossus just now. Again, he has the Spine of Vishash in his hand, so if he's able to just keep making his land drops, he should be good. But he's only at 5 now, so let's see if he's able to get 6 land here. He's got 24 lands in his deck, so he has plenty of mana sources. And he draws a Metalworker, so Metalworker will certainly get him the mana he needs.
Yeah. Unless Gregg is winning the game this turn, this felt a little bit early for me to go down the road of getting the Colossus, because the second copy of Chalice of the Void gives him so much insurance.
Yeah, a top deck Manic Vandal is basically game over, or close to it. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think it was a little too early. Maybe he just forgot about the Ensnaring Bridge. There's really no reason to. I would have just gained life. But now he does able to untap, and he draws Forge Master. He's going to reveal 8 cards, 4 artifacts for 8 mana. He can play the Spine of Vishash this turn, which will allow him to destroy the Ensnaring Bridge and finally attack with that Blightsteel Colossus. And yes, Jared Boettcher concedes, and Gregg Spano defeats Jared Boettcher 3-1. A matchup that Gregg was actually very afraid of. He's able to defeat him 3-1. Pretty impressive there for Gregg.
Well, if you had to name a card or